Hi, I'm Jennifer from the Wooster branch of the Wayne County Public Library, back with another bullet journal video. Today, I would like to explain in more depth some of the basics of bullet journaling and show you how you can get started. Let's go. First of all, the tools you need are really simple. If you're just starting your first bullet journal, I recommend you use a simple notebook like this lined composition notebook and even just a ballpoint pen. Don't worry about using anything fancy. Just keep it basic until you know what works best for you in keeping your journal. You will make mistakes, so don't put pressure on yourself by buying a fancy journal and then finding you're too intimidated to use it. As you spend more time journaling, you'll find other kinds of notebooks that will work too. You can use a spiral-bound notebook, a 3-ring binder so you can add or remove pages, or a journal designed specifically for bullet journaling like this one. Your pages can be lined, blank, graph paper, or dot grid like I have here. Use what works for you. You can find an infinite variety of pens that people use for bullet journaling, from a standard ballpoint pen, or gel pens, to fine liners like this, or even brush pens, or paint pens for more artistic designs. Depending on what kind of journal you use, some pens might work better than others. The fancier pens like gel pens and brush pens may end up bleeding through the thinner paper of some notebooks. So again, just use what works for you. Next, let's talk about setting up your journal. Now, numbering your pages might seem to be kind of unimportant, but you may find it useful later. If you want to look back at your journal to find a particular day's notes or a list you tucked in somewhere, it helps to know what page it's on. And that brings me to the index. This is something I did not use in my first few bullet journals, but the more that I added different collections, like the books that I've read or my holiday plans, it helped to have an index at the front of my journal to note what pages contain that information. The index is simple. If you have a list or a special day's note you want to find, just write down the name of the collection or the date, as well as the page number. You can designate a page or two at the beginning of the journal for this index, or you can do what I did at first and just tape an extra page inside the cover of your journal and write your index there. Now, the heart of your bullet journal is the logs or the calendars, so let's look at those. The creator of the bullet journal method, Writer Carroll, uses the term rapid logging to explain the quick bullet points you write down for each day. Just a short line to indicate the task or event that you need to remember. The simplest method of logging is the daily log. Write the date, and below it, list your tasks and events for the day. At the end of the day, you can check off what you've accomplished, make notes about the day, like memories, things you want to remember, and look over what you haven't checked off to decide if you want to move those items to the next day. So for example, here's 2 things with an arrow beside them. I didn't get done this day, so I'm moving it to the next day. Then you write the date for the next day, add those items you want to carry over, and write down any other tasks or events for the day. This is the simplest and most straightforward way to do a bullet journal, and if that's all you want to put in your bullet journal, that is perfectly fine. Some people, like me, need to see a whole week at a glance. So you can expand this simple daily log over 1 or 2 pages, making a heading for each day of the week, and fill in your tasks. You can make a weekly log more visually appealing, like this, or to just make grids that you work with. But that's completely up to you, and I can show you more about this in the next video. The monthly log, as described by Writer Carroll, is just a list of the days of the month one line for each, where you can fill in birthdays, events, deadlines, just quick notes on what you need to know about specific days. Again, I'll show you more about this in the next video. And finally, the future log gives you an overview for a full year or even a portion of the year. You can compile it from multiple monthly logs, like this, if you wanted to do a couple of columns for each page. Or you can write or paste in small calendars for each month, and then write the dates you need to remember below or next to them. In this case, I just found a calendar online and printed it out, and then on this page I put in birthdays, events, other things I need to remember. In this journal, what I did instead, on the dot grid paper, it was easy enough for me to write in the little calendars and then write the dates below that I need to remember. The other kinds of pages that you might want to have in your bullet journal are collections and trackers. Collections are simply lists on specific topics, like a list of books that you have read or you might want to read, a basic grocery list or ideas for planning menus, your goals for the year, whatever you feel you need to write down and refer to over time. Collections are completely optional. You can find hundreds of examples of collections online, but if they don't mean anything for you, don't worry about them. I will talk more about collections in a future video, so for now, just know that when I talk about collections, in general, I'm talking about some kind of list. Trackers are a little more interactive and give you a way to track your progress towards some goal. Some of the most common trackers found in bullet journals are habit trackers that allow you to mark the progress you make on goals like exercise, your health, saving money, reading, and more. There are different ways of designing trackers, and I will dedicate an entire video to these later on. But for now, just remember that trackers help you become more aware of the steps you need to take to reach some goal you set for yourself. So there are a lot of new terms to learn when you're setting up a bullet journal, but ultimately it's up to you what you want to include in your journal. There's no one right way to bullet journal. The system is designed to let you choose what works for you. In the next video, I will demonstrate how to set up the different kinds of logs and show you some different kinds of designs to try. So before watching that video, give some thought as to how you need to plan. Do you need to see a whole week or a whole month at a glance? Do you need to create a future log for events over multiple months? Or do you just need to create your lists from day to day? There's no right or wrong answer. Just think about what works for you. And if you have questions, you can drop them in the comments below or on the library's Facebook page, and I will try to answer them. Don't forget, the Bullet Journalists group meets the third Saturday of every month on Zoom, and we talk about what we're learning from using our journals, as well as sharing ideas and experiments from our journals. If you're interested in joining us, you can register for the Zoom meeting through a link on Facebook or through the calendar of events on the library website at wcpl.info. And until the next video, happy journaling!